I talk about depression as a type of condition that requires you to build a relationship with. I have to manage it so I can live with it. I think it's unrealistic for me to say it will be completely out of the frame of my existence for the rest of my life. I can do better each day that I live.
In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, this episode is made possible with the support of Spring Health.
So can you just start by talking about how you feel right now?
I think we are conditioned to say, oh, I'm good. And I'm good on one end, but I think there's always something else that we don't necessarily have words for. I feel excited. I feel honored. I feel shy.
Can you take off your mask?
Hold on, can I just take off my mask? No, I can't. It's a complicated task over here.
Can you talk a little bit about what your style says about you?
I feel differently and I show up differently kind of each day. My focus is to always be integral and authentic, but being authentic really means that I won't be the same all the time. I want to have that freedom.
Can you talk about assumptions that people have about you based on your appearance?
I often joke I'm the assumed lesbian of the room, which I am not actually. Being an Asian, but assumption is that I will be quiet, I would go with the program, that I won't make trouble. If that's the assumption that they have of me, they're in for it because that is pretty much the complete opposite of who I am. And this assumption actually is still there even in my home country. My mother was denied a lot of things because she was a woman. My mom got really sick when I was in the second and third year of high school. Sick with depression. I think it's like this accumulation of constant little minute oppression that is day to day to day to day for over the lifetime. And that's one of the reasons why I left, because that assumption, and I think it's more of a gender role, is very much sunk in to the core of the society, that being in Japan as who I am was not easy. It actually was making me sick. I was just naturally outspoken and full of ideas. So I would run for, what do you call those? Like a class president or something? Yeah. And even with the encouragement that they would give me, there's always a tinge of a shame. Oh, you are such an outspoken one for a girl. Oh, you are so boisterous that we could hear you from a mile away. And those things, after a while, sink into your subconscious. I came to this country when I was 18. I was trying since the age of 10. I said, Mom, I really think I should go here for middle school. I really think this is what I should do. She looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? To be honest, I think that's kind of how she felt about me all the time. Like, where the hell did you come from into this family?
So what transpired between you and your mom?
So my mother killed herself. She tried when I was 18. She was working, but she was not eating so much. And she would be so depressed. She would not be talking to him. We said, what's going on? What are you doing? Like, just snap out of it, right? That's like the thing that we say to people, snap out of it. You'll be fine. It's not that bad. And I said that myself as an 18-year-old. But little did I know, I would be going through the same exact thing. She got better, but then she killed herself when I was 26. And I was already here. And I couldn't go home to be at her funerals. And there was a lot of guilt and shame around that. She basically was manipulated by this person that she was dating. That she got into such a space of fear that she did not know how to get out of. And she just thought that the only way for her to get out of it is to die. So my depression came right after my struggle with my first marriage. Not after, during. I was in college. I had to go to this school in South Georgia. I was studying. I threw all of that away and said, okay, I will get married. And I was already pregnant, but then I was like, okay, I'll get married. He was charming, he was handsome, he had all the right things to say. He was also very ambitious, but he was not disciplined. He also had drinking problems, which I did not know. And I ended up being in a marriage where I was manipulated to think that I was not capable of doing anything myself anymore. Like I actually literally stopped driving because I actually was convinced that I will not be able to drive. And I don't even know if this was conscious or subconscious, but he also did not give me a green card, so I was not able to work either. He was emotionally and verbally very abusive by then, also combined with the problem with the alcohol. And for the longest time, I really thought that was my only option to be in that relationship, right? And I don't know why I thought this one day, but I was looking at my life and I'm looking at my daughter, and I said to myself, well, he's doing a fine job wrecking my life. I actually think I can wreck it better. I don't think I'll be in a worse place, actually. So I made a deal. And I said, but you have to honor me by giving me a green card. And we can remain friends. And you can still see your daughter. And we need to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. Living in the South is in many ways closer to like living in Japan. There's a lot of unset rules. There's a lot of traditions. There's a way that folks do things that I felt not 100% congruent with. And I had a former friend who lived in New York at that time. So I said, I'll move there. We came here. He took the money that I had and he left. And my friend also kicked me out, realizing that I didn't have any money to give her. So my daughter and I, January of year 2000, went into domestic violence shelter. I was talking to a domestic violence shelter counselor, and they told me that I have to get a therapist for my green card process, because if you are in an abusive relationship, then the United States has to give you a green card. So I started going to see a therapist because it was mandated to me. And it's crazy how it works, but that was God sent. Even though I was a vocal one, even though I was a loud one, there was difficulty for me to express my need. And this actually is a little bit true to this day, that I can do it for the collective. It's hard for me to do it for me.
So what was your journey to getting to that place with yourself?
There were so many years of just going in and out of depressions, and I have some deep bouts of it, right? Especially after I got married the second time, because I felt safe enough that I actually can fall apart, or my nervous system knew that it's time that I can actually unravel to the point that there's no tomorrow. We are taught that we have to be one-dimensional, good vibes only, right? I do value good vibes, but that's just not human if that's the only thing we got. I studied yoga, meditation, breathwork. I was teaching yoga for a while. I enjoyed it, and I got pregnant the second time, and I stopped, which also put me into another bout of depression. I would have days where I would just be curled up at the corner of the couch a whole day. It's almost like a Lifetime television story, but you would find my husband find me in a bathtub curled up with the shower. With your kids, you don't really want them to hear you crying, and then I can't get out because I'm crying hysterically and I don't know how to stop myself. Quite honestly, I probably was in that deep misery, painfully, but quite also comfortably, because that's what I know. And then that's kind of the repeat pattern. And I got pregnant again. And by the time my third child came, I was in the deepest depression ever. I would just kind of go off all on my own, really ideating how I would kill myself. I was really in the planning stage. I think throughout the time prior to that, I could always make sense by saying, I should live for my kids. I want to see my kids grow up. But that last time, I really felt that I was doing them a disservice by being the way I am. I am giving them something that they can't recover from. I thought that me not being there would be better for my kids. And it might be a delusional thinking, but that's honestly what I felt. And then I said okay to pharmaceutical drugs, actually, because I did not have any energy to talk to anyone, to go anywhere, to do anything to make me feel better. I finally found I am not better than my depression. I am my depression at that point. I need to learn what I need to do with it because I don't think it's gonna go away. Personally, I felt a little bit like a defeat.
To have to take the drugs?
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Because I also have been studying natural health for what? By then, I was studying it for a long time. And I was implementing a whole bunch of things. And then still realized, I was like, shit, I just can't do it.
Did it help?
Oh God, yes. I think what's miraculous about it is that once I took the pharmaceutical meds, by doing that, I had enough in me to be able to go back to therapy. And I was in intensive therapy for an entire year. And that was a significant turning point in my life. So through that, I discovered energy healing and I studied subtle medicine like flower essence. So I lean heavily on those things. And I also studied herbalism. Through learning many different modalities, what I have learned is that. And I think not to discount all of the tangible thing that I do for myself. I do eat well. I manage my stress fairly well. I have a very kind of methodical, almost boring life that kind of keeps my body in good shape. But beyond that, I think what keeps me a lot of times very positive is that unshakable trust in knowing that I am where I need to be and I'm doing what I have been tasked to do in the best way possible that I know how. I'm working along folks to make sure that they can see that a little bit more each day. Because my purpose really is to change the world, really. I mean, through what I do, I truly believe my ancestors really had this plan for me.
When do you feel the most vulnerable?
When I know that my children will have to go through life just like I did. That even though I want to do my best to protect them from all the pain and harm, that's actually not going to ultimately help them. But in that, I feel very vulnerable because I know that I would be hurt when my children get hurt.
When do you feel the most beautiful?
When I'm teaching, actually. When I'm teaching, I do feel beautiful. And that has definitely have something to do with me being able to be very authentic and being seen in that. But being able to understand pain and misery in my own life definitely builds a wider capacity to be empathetic. It also gives me strength and true belief that, yes, you can get better.
What do you love the most about your body?
My clavicle and my chest, I do really love them. I used to not like my shoulders because it was so wide, the clothes sometimes doesn't fit me. But once I discovered my clavicle and my chest situation, I also love my shoulder. I also like my wrists.
Why?
I find my wrists to be cute. I don't know what else to say, how else to explain. Maybe it's a little dainty to compare to like some other parts of my body. And maybe innately, I want to have that cuteness for me.
Why in your body, in your skin, in your journey, why is it a good place to be?
Because there's nowhere else for me. And I actually think I hear a lot of growth in that. I always kind of joked, but not joked, that I want a replacement for my body. Not because I didn't like the way it looked. It was just because it didn't let me be me or let me do things that I needed to do. But now I can confidently say that this is the body that I needed to have in order for me to see my purpose and work on my purpose.
Beautiful, that's amazing. That was a beautiful answer. Wow. Thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of What's Underneath, made possible with the support of Spring Health.
Follow us along on Instagram at StyleLikeU and at spring.health for more details on how you can join in on our mental health awareness campaign. We also want to extend a big thank you to True & Co. for co-sponsoring this episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel over here.
And don't forget to ring the bell so that you're notified every time we release a new video on Thursdays. Lots of love.